Missed your court date? You could be facing a bench warrant. Here's what you need to know. Hi, Attorney Joe McPeak with Virtuoso Criminal and DUI Lawyers. Missing a court date is serious because courts will often issue a warrant for your arrest automatically if a court date comes and you're not there and nobody's there on your behalf to represent you as an attorney. If nobody's there, the court doesn't really have any reason on its own to start going investigating and find out, are they in the hospital? Are they out of the state? They're not going to do any of that research, and you shouldn't expect them to. If nobody is there to appear at a court date, then they will just issue a warrant for the defendant's arrest. You could face fines, jail time, or license suspension. If it's for a vehicle code violation, particularly an open bench warrant, could also trigger what's called a hold on your driver's license. So if it's for a DUI, for example, you missed your court date, well, the fact there's a warrant out will cause there to be a hold on your license. And so if you get pulled over while the warrant is pending, not only could you be handcuffed for the failure to appear on the warrant, but you could also be told, hey, your license is actually suspended. You're driving on a suspended license. That's a problem too. The biggest problem probably when it comes to having a warrant out is that any given time when you're out in the world, you're subject to arrest. If officers, for whatever reason, identify who you are and confirm in their system you have a warrant, you could be taken into custody right then and there. And then you might be asked to post bail on that warrant, or else you're not going to get released. There are some warrants where the offenses are considered low level and lower priority by the respective agency. They might not go to the trouble of actually taking you into custody and making you post bail. Instead, they might just do what's called a cite and release, take more time during the initial detention, and then give you a new court date upon citing and arresting you initially for that warrant. But not all warrants and agencies are created equal. You should take it seriously if you have a warrant pending for your arrest. Common reasons people miss court: maybe they didn't get the notice. Maybe they were given a notice to appear for a certain court date. They showed up and charges weren't filed. And then the DA's office did file charges, and then the notice didn't get to the defendant. The mail screwed up. They might have been confused about the date. Maybe it looked like one date on the letter or the citation they got, and then it turns out it was actually a totally different date. They could also miss court because of an emergency or the fear of showing up thinking that at the first court date they would be detained, or just fear of the process. And if you're not a citizen, unfortunately with these times going on today, or even before any of this, a lot of people were very afraid if they're not a citizen. They were often afraid of just physically going in the halo of a courthouse because federal immigration authorities might pick on those places as areas to investigate and just detain people who they thought weren't citizens and get them stuck in removal proceedings and ICE custody. It's a law, in other words. What you can do, though, if you think you've missed a court date, is don't wait. Talk to a lawyer right away. At the very least, a consultation with an attorney will probably give you some helpful tips on how cases can be, what we say, added onto calendar for recall of bench warrant. You need to talk to a lawyer about how you can get yourself a new court date for your case, so that when you get that court date and your case is on calendar, a judge can actually decide whether or not to recall the warrant, meaning take it out of the system, and then how else to address your case going forward. We may be able to recall the warrant on your behalf by appearing for you. In some counties and some jurisdictions, even when you have an outstanding warrant, depending on the severity, they might actually let your attorney appear on your behalf to ask the judge to recall the warrant, and that request may very well be granted. It's definitely worth an ask. If you have an outstanding warrant, talk to a lawyer right away about seeing what your options are, because nothing's going to get any better if it's just sitting out there in the open and then you can just be arrested at any time without your notice or control. Talk to a lawyer as soon as possible if you think you may have missed a court date and you might have a warrant outstanding that you need to get addressed. That's the only way that your case can get resolved, and at the very least, definitely make sure that you're not under threat of arrest for the next period of your life. It's worth it. Thanks, and stay safe out there.